If you're over 70, there are changes happening in your body that most people never talk about, not because they aren't important, but because we've gotten used to thinking that slowing down is just part of getting older. I've watched people for decades now, and I can tell you this. The difference between someone who stays active at 75 and someone who struggles isn't always what you'd expect. It's not about being lucky with your genes, or having more money, or starting out healthier. It's about small things that add up over time. Things that most people overlook until it's harder to change them. I want to share what I've seen because I think you deserve to know what's really making the difference. My name is Harold Bennett, and I've spent most of my life paying attention to patterns. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to pretend I am. But I've had the chance to watch hundreds of people age, and I've noticed things that matter. Things that the people who stay active seem to understand, even if they never put it into words. Today, I want to talk about what keeps some people moving well into their 70s and beyond, while others find themselves stuck in a chair much sooner than they need to be. This isn't about running marathons or doing anything extraordinary. It's about staying independent, staying capable, staying yourself. If you'd like more of these conversations, I do these videos regularly, and you're welcome to subscribe if that interests you. But for now, I just want you to listen carefully to what I'm about to share. The first thing I want to talk about is something I see almost every day, and it surprises people when I mention it. The people who stay active past 70 aren't necessarily the ones who were athletes when they were younger. In fact, some of the most active older people I know never played sports at all. What they have in common is this: they move throughout the day, not just during exercise. Let me explain what I mean. I knew two women, both 73, who lived in the same neighborhood. Margaret went to the gym 3 times a week. She'd drive there, spend 45 minutes on the machines, drive home, and then spend the rest of her day sitting. She watched television, read in her chair, ate her meals at the table. When she needed something from upstairs, she'd wait until she had several things to get, so she only had to make one trip. She thought she was being efficient. Susan, on the other hand, never set foot in a gym, but she got up every time she needed something. She walked to the mailbox every day, even when she knew there probably wasn't anything there. She stood while she talked on the phone. She did her dishes by hand instead of using the dishwasher, not because she couldn't afford one, but because she liked the movement. She took the stairs in her house multiple times a day, sometimes for no reason except that she was going up to get something small. Here's what happened. Margaret's knees started bothering her. Her back got stiff. She started having trouble getting up from low chairs. Susan, at the same age, could still get down on the floor to play with her grandchildren and get back up without help. The difference wasn't the gym. It was the other 23 hours of the day. Your body at 70 needs regular reminders of how to move. When you sit for long periods, your muscles start to forget. Your joints get stiff. Your balance systems turn off because they're not being used. This happens faster than you think, and it's harder to reverse than to prevent. The people who stay active understand this, whether they realize it or not. They keep their bodies in conversation with movement all day long. You can start this today. The next time you need something from another room, get up and get it. Don't wait. Don't consolidate trips. Let yourself move more than feels efficient. Your body will thank you for it. The next thing I've noticed is about strength, but not in the way most people think about it. Everyone knows that staying strong matters, but what they don't always realize is which kind of strength matters most as you get older. I'm talking about the strength to get up from a chair without using your hands. The strength to carry your groceries from the car to the house in one trip. The strength to open a jar or lift a pot full of water. These are the things that determine whether you can take care of yourself. I watched 2 men, Joe and Frank, both 76. Joe had been a runner his whole life. He was lean, fit, could still walk several miles without getting tired. But he'd never focused on upper body strength or leg strength in the way that matters for daily life. When he sat down in a soft chair, he struggled to get back up. He needed help opening things. He couldn't lift his suitcase into the overhead bin when he traveled. Frank, on the other hand, had never been much of a runner, but he'd kept up with yard work, moving furniture, carrying things. He'd never stopped using his muscles for real tasks. At 76, he could still get up from any chair, carry his own bags, help his wife with heavy pots in the kitchen. What I've learned from watching people like this is that functional strength, the kind you use in daily life, comes from doing daily tasks that require strength. It's not complicated. If you stop lifting things because they feel heavy, Your muscles adapt to not lifting heavy things. Then, when you need to lift something, you can't. The solution isn't necessarily going to a gym, though that can help. The solution is to keep doing the tasks that require strength, even when they start to feel harder. Keep carrying your own groceries. Keep lifting that pot. Keep getting up from the chair without pushing off with your hands, even if it takes you an extra second. Your muscles respond to what you ask of them. If you keep asking, they'll keep answering. This may sound simple, but it matters more than you think. I hope this is making sense so far. If you're finding this helpful, I'd appreciate hearing about it in the comments. Something else I've seen that makes a real difference is how people think about falling. Most people over 70 are afraid of falling, and for good reason. A fall can change everything. But here's what I've noticed. The people who stay active don't spend their energy being afraid. They spend it improving their balance. There's a difference between those two approaches that's bigger than you might realize. I knew two women, both 71, named Carol and Nancy. Carol was terrified of falling. She'd had a friend who broke a hip, and it scared her deeply. So she started being very careful. She held on to things whenever she walked. She avoided uneven surfaces. She stopped walking on her lawn because it wasn't flat. She moved slowly and cautiously everywhere she went. She thought she was protecting herself. Nancy had the same fear after hearing about the same friend, but she responded differently. She started practicing standing on one foot while she brushed her teeth. She walked on different surfaces on purpose: grass, gravel, slopes. She moved more carefully than she used to, but she didn't avoid challenges. She challenged herself in small, safe ways. What happened is this. Carol's balance got worse over time. Her body forgot how to recover from small stumbles because she never let herself stumble in controlled situations. When she finally did trip on something unexpected, she didn't have the reflexes to catch herself. Nancy, meanwhile, got steadier. Her body practiced recovering its balance every single day, so when she hit an uneven spot in the sidewalk, her muscles knew what to do. She caught herself without even thinking about it. Your balance at 70 isn't fixed. It's something you practice, like anything else. The people who stay active practice it, often without knowing that's what they're doing. They walk on uneven ground. They reach for things that are just slightly too far. They let themselves feel a little unsteady in safe situations, so their body remembers how to respond. You can start this carefully. Stand on one foot for a few seconds while you're waiting for your coffee to brew. Walk on your lawn instead of just the sidewalk. Let your body practice the small recoveries that keep you from falling when it matters. There's no need to panic, but there is a need to practice. The next thing I want to talk about might surprise you, because it's not about your body at all, at least not directly. It's about your reasons for moving. I've noticed that the people who stay active past 70 almost always have something they're moving toward, not just something they're moving away from. Let me explain what I mean. I've seen people who exercise because they're afraid of getting weak. They're trying to avoid decline. And that works for a while, but fear gets exhausting. Eventually, they lose motivation because the thing they're trying to avoid feels inevitable anyway. But then I've seen people who move because they have something specific they want to keep doing. Maybe they want to travel and they know they need to be able to walk through airports. Maybe they have grandchildren they want to play with on the floor. Maybe they garden and they want to keep being able to kneel down and get back up. Maybe they just love walking in their neighborhood and want to keep doing it. Robert and Walter, both 74, both started having knee pain around the same time. Robert's doctor told him to exercise to keep his knees from getting worse. So Robert started walking every day, but he didn't enjoy it. He thought about his knees the whole time. He worried about whether it was helping. He felt like it was medicine he had to take. After a few months, he started skipping days. It felt like a chore. Walter's doctor gave him the same advice, but Walter thought about it differently. He wanted to keep working in his garden, and he knew his knees needed to be strong enough to kneel and stand repeatedly. So when he walked, he thought about his garden. He noticed plants in other people's yards. He planned what he'd do in his own space. The walking was connected to something he loved, so it didn't feel like medicine. It felt like preparation for something that mattered to him. Walter kept walking. His knees got stronger. Robert stopped after a while, and his knees got worse. The difference wasn't discipline. It was purpose. If you want to stay active, connect your movement to something you care about. Don't just exercise to avoid getting old. Move so you can keep doing something that makes your life feel like yours. Think about what that is for you. Let that pull you forward. Stay with me here. This next part is important. Something I've seen again and again is that the people who stay active are the ones who adjusted their expectations without giving up. That's a delicate balance, and it's one of the hardest things to get right. Let me try to explain this clearly. When you're 70, you're not going to move the same way you did at 40. That's just reality. The people who struggle are often the ones who can't accept that. So they either push too hard and hurt themselves, or they give up entirely because they can't do what they used to do. But the people who stay active have found a middle path. They've changed what they do without changing who they are. I knew a man named Harold, yes, same name as mine, who used to run 5 miles every morning. At 72, his knees couldn't take it anymore. He tried to push through, and he ended up barely able to walk for a month. After that, he decided running was over for him, and he became sedentary. He felt like if he couldn't run, there was no point. Then there was a woman named Eleanor, who'd also been a runner. At 72, she had the same knee problems. But instead of giving up, she switched to walking. She walked the same route she used to run, but slower. She found she noticed things she'd never seen before. She started swimming twice a week because it didn't hurt her knees. She found that she actually felt stronger than she had when she was running because she was using her body in different ways. She didn't think of it as settling for less. She thought of it as adapting to stay active. Your body at 70 is asking you to be creative, not to give up. The people who stay active listen to that request. They find new ways to move when the old ways stop working. They try things they never tried before. They adjust the intensity, the duration, the type of movement. But they don't stop moving. This is something I need you to understand. Changing how you move is not the same as giving up. It's wisdom. It's how you keep going. If something hurts, find a different way. If something is too hard, modify it. But keep moving. Your body will meet you where you are if you give it the chance. One more thing I've noticed, and this one is about pain. Most people over 70 have some pain somewhere. That's normal. But the people who stay active have a different relationship with pain than the people who become sedentary. They've learned to tell the difference between pain that's a warning and pain that's just part of moving an aging body. This is important, so pay attention to this part. I watched 2 women, both 75, both with arthritis in their hands. Barbara stopped using her hands as much as she could. She asked other people to open jars, to button things, to do tasks that hurt. She thought she was protecting her hands. Margaret, on the other hand, kept using her hands. She noticed that they hurt more when she first started moving them in the morning, but if she worked through that initial stiffness gently, they actually felt better as the day went on. She learned that stillness made the pain worse, while gentle movement made it more manageable. Over time, Barbara's hands became less functional. The pain didn't go away. In fact, it got worse because her joints were getting stiffer from lack of use. Margaret's hands hurt too, but she could still use them. She could still cook, still garden, still button her own shirts. The pain hadn't disappeared, but it hadn't stopped her either. What I've learned from watching this pattern is that some pain gets better with gentle movement, and some pain is a warning to stop. The people who stay active have learned to tell the difference. They move through stiffness, but they stop when something feels wrong. They pay attention to their bodies without being ruled by every ache. If you have pain, you need to learn what kind it is. Is it the pain of stiffness that gets better once you warm up? That's pain you can move through gently. Is it sharp, sudden pain that gets worse when you move? That's pain you should pay attention to and maybe talk to a doctor about. But don't assume all pain means stop. Sometimes pain means move differently, or move more gently, or warm up first. The people who stay active have figured this out. You can too. Let me bring this all together, because I know I've covered a lot of ground here. What I've seen, watching people age for all these years, is that staying active past 70 isn't about one big thing. It's not about perfect genes or expensive gym memberships or some secret technique. It's about small patterns that add up. It's about moving throughout your day, not just during exercise. It's about keeping your muscles strong by using them for real tasks. It's about practicing your balance in safe ways so you have it when you need it. It's about having something you're moving toward, not just something you're trying to avoid. It's about adjusting how you move without giving up on movement entirely. And it's about understanding your pain well enough to know when to move through it and when to rest. These aren't complicated things. They're simple things that require consistency and attention. The good news is that you can start any of them today, right now. You don't need permission or equipment or a plan. You just need to decide that your ability to move matters to you. Because it does matter. It matters whether you can get up from a chair without help. It matters whether you can walk to your mailbox. It matters whether you can pick up your grandchild or carry your own bags or stand at the counter to cook yourself a meal. These things are your independence, your dignity, your ability to be yourself. I've seen people change these patterns at 75, at 80, even at 85. It's not too late unless you decide it's too late. Your body is more resilient than you think, and it's more responsive than you've been told. It will meet you where you are if you're willing to meet it there too. If this has been helpful to you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you know someone who might benefit from hearing this, please share it with them. I do these videos because I believe these conversations matter, and I'll keep having them as long as people find them valuable. If you'd like to hear more, you're welcome to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself. You're worth the effort.